Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to discuss if the Sony A9 is still a good buy in 2024. The A9 was released in April 2017, making it an almost 7-year-old camera at the time of recording. We all know technology moves on quickly, and every 2 years there was a massive jump in performance, technology and capabilities. You only have to look at the newly released Sony A9 III with its world first global shutter. So the question is the Sony A9 worth it in 2024 for wedding photography? Or in fact, most photographic pursuits? I'm going to say it is. Now, for those who have supported the channel a while, will know I'm a big advocate for the person behind the gear that creates the photo. I only have to dive back 5 years or even 3 years ago in my archives to see how far I have come. If someone gave me the newly released Sony A9 III back in 2018, my first full year being a wedding photographer, would that instantly make me awesome? I can tell you, it would not. I hadn't found my style, my compositions were a bit lackluster, editing isn't half as clean as it is now. The person I was in 2018 no longer exists. We're now in 2024 and you can give me a £500 camera such as my Sony A6000, which I use for my family holidays and other personal projects, and I know I'll get solid images because I have the foundational knowledge, skill and importantly experience to do so. It isn't the camera that makes the photographer. A good camera helps, but it's a tool at the end of the day. That's why I laugh at the amount of views videos get on YouTube if it's about a lens or camera. Let's say 100,000 views, yet a video educating you on better composition, lighting, branding, business, SEO, web design, everything you could ever want to create a better business and be a better photographer. 500 views. It's crazy, the amount of people on YouTube thinking a new camera will make them a better photographer. It won't. Save your money and invest in education. Back to the A9. So, of course the Sony A9 is still a great purchase in 2024. The drawbacks are the video side of things, hence why I'm upgrading soon to Sony A7 IV bodies for the 4K capabilities, but that's a necessary upgrade to offer highlight films, which I have covered in other videos. It also has no picture profiles such as S-Log3 or even the new S-Cinetone, which are both in the A7 IV. Certain indoor lighting scenarios aren't a deal breaker, but with no anti-flicker you can experience exposure shifts or view consecutive images back and see fairy lights turning on along a curtain, for example. I've never shot concerts or basketball games, but I can imagine the lighting in those scenarios is probably a pain in the arse on the A9. Apart from those two things, I would say the Sony A9 can handle pretty much anything you want it for. Especially as an amateur photographer or even a pro photographer, maybe you're just starting out on weddings, it's a brilliant camera, I can't knock it. I'd still own it going forward if I wasn't moving to hybrid coverage. You'd have to pry this A9 out of my dead hands. Over the years of having this camera, I've won over 150 awards from numerous bodies and won the wedding category at the British Photography Awards. Not to mention a boatload of other things I could rhyme off. But I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying it to showcase that I did all of that with this Sony A9. So that's food for thought if you're still thinking an A9 isn't right for you. So let's talk more in depth about the A9 and give you a little backstory on my experience and uses of this camera. Firstly, I'm no YouTuber who just gets a load of gear handed to him or her to do a gear review. Take my nephew to the park, snap a few frames for a video. No, I'm a working professional first. I've had this Sony A9 body since the 8th of February 2019 and won't be letting go of them until around April time 2024, so almost 5 years of constant use. In that time I've photographed over 100 plus weddings easily and delivered over 130,000 final images to my clients, so trust me when I say I know this camera back to front. Let's talk price. On release the A9 was a whopping £4,500, but you can pick one up these days for around £1,400–1,500. So if you're looking for a camera for wedding photography and just starting out, or maybe you've been in the industry a year or so and still shooting on a basic camera, the A9 is certainly a bargain. At those prices there's just no point buying cheaper alternatives like the very popular Sony A7 III, which obviously flew off the shelves when that was released. Pay the extra and just get the A9. One of the biggest things about the Sony A9 is the stacked sensor, which was the world's first and Sony just crushing Canon and Nikon at the time with the 20 frames per second, which honestly is overkill if you're shooting weddings. 5 to 6 frames per second is enough, but also the autofocus of the A9, I can tell you now, it's like cheating. It's just so damn good. When I got the A9 in 2019, I honestly thought I'd never upgrade. how much better of a camera would you need over what the A9 provides? I mean, the autofocus is insane, like I said. I personally use the live tracking and it's so sticky. It's hard to believe they made the autofocus even better in the new models like the A1, the A9 III, the A7R5, and of course the A7 IV, which is what I'm moving to. Again, there's just no need to upgrade if you don't need video, etc. Don't be wasting money upgrading a Sony A9 to one of the other new bodies if you're getting an incremental upgrade in autofocus or something else that doesn't really affect getting great images. The A9 will get you great images as long as you know what you're doing, like I said earlier. I don't want to waffle on all day. My conclusion for the Sony A9 in 2024 is that it's still a kick-ass camera. And as I'm a wedding photographer, and maybe you are too, hence you're watching this, you can't go wrong with an A9 for wedding photography. As I've been slapping my gums here, you've seen some of my favourite photos appearing on the video, all taken with the Sony A9 and either the 35mm or 85mm G Master lenses. What did you think of the images? Do you think a Sony A1 or a Canon R6 or a Nikon Z9 would produce a better photo? No, they'd give you the exact same photo. The secret the camera industry doesn't want you to know is that any modern camera released in the last 5 to 7 years, possibly even 10 years, is going to be a great camera. It gets to a point where it's just diminishing returns until a new technology comes out, just like the global shutter from Sony. Once that filters down into their lower models, I can see upgrading being a great thing to do for most. So many benefits to a global shutter, a primary one being no sync speed for flash. Flash users will upgrade in their droves. But jumping back, all modern cameras will get you a good image. How you shoot it and edit it might just be the thing that sinks it. Toodaloos.